Hello and welcome to episode 20 of the Crazy Knitter Studio podcast. My name is Kristen, known as Crazy Knitting Fool on Ravelry, and I'm your host. Today is Saturday, May 21st, 2016, and I'm calling this Less Knitting Time. So I want to welcome all new and returning viewers. Thanks for checking me out. So starting lineups, the intros. I want to say hi to Krista, who is Christina from Christina's Knitting Catch-Up podcast. She introduced herself in the Ravelry group, so go check out her podcast. She's awesome. She is from Australia, but she's getting ready to move to, I believe it's Norway. So that should be an interesting change for her. And I really enjoy her podcast, so check it out. So if you want to get a shout out in the podcast, just come to the Ravelry group and introduce yourself in the introduction thread, and I'll give you a shout out. So presser, weeks in review. So what's been going on? Well, first of all, it is beautiful here today. It is in the high 60s. I have the windows downstairs open. It's so nice. I'm so glad that we are finally, I think, turning the corner. Weather-wise, but we'll see. So this past week, I was given the employee recognition parking space at work. My husband joked, if you didn't watch the last episode, I had hit a car in the parking lot a couple weeks ago. So my husband's like, oh, so you hit a car and they give you a special spot where you can't park near anybody because you're so close? And I'm like, yeah, no. But we do have these things called shout outs where you can give people a shout out for something. And I got one. So, and they draw every week from the people who received one to get this spot. And I got it. So it was pretty cool. And then, not this past Wednesday, but 2 Wednesdays ago, I get a call from the school. Never a good thing when you see that number coming up on the caller ID. So I pick up the phone. This is Mrs. Brown, the social worker. Everything's fine. Clark had an unexpected behavior. Apparently, we stole something from another little boy who sits at his table. When the little boy confronted him about it, he denied taking it and then pushed him, and then lied to his teacher when she asked him about it. Not good. So we lost our iPad and TV privileges for the week, and we had to apologize to William, and hopefully nothing like this happens again. I tried to remind him when he had something taken from him out of his backpack at after school care last year, how badly that felt, but he doesn't seem to remember that incident happening. But my husband was very upset. When I called him, he was ready to go pull him out of school and come home and beat his ass. But he didn't. But then the next day, we had lunch with a loved one. So my husband and I both went. We brought him Panera and got to eat Panera with him at lunch. And then that day, there was also an open house at school and an ice cream social. So we went there. And we put in some tickets for a raffle, and we won a little prize. So he was so excited. It was called the Summer Fun Basket. So it had like chalk and bubbles and badminton rackets and like those those mitts with the Velcro ball, and you throw it and you catch it in the mitt and it sticks, and some sunscreen and some buckets, for making sandcastles at the beach. And so he was pretty excited about that. And then, speaking of weather, last Sunday we were getting ready. We went out to breakfast. We walk outside. It was May 15th, and it was snowing. Now, it didn't really stick, and it actually kind of looked more like hail to me. It was really round, but snow on May 15th. No, not cool. Anyway, and then on Tuesday, we went to Lego time at the library, which we do quite a bit. And I'm going to go on a little rant. So I hope you don't mind. So we're there. There's probably about, I'd say 10 to 12 parents. So some parents had more than one kid. There's probably about 20 kids, but I'd say 10 to 12 parents. I'm looking around the whole time. It's an hour. Okay, we're talking an hour. The whole time, I'm looking around. Out of the 10 to 12 parents, me and 2 other moms were the only ones who were not on our phones the entire time. Everybody else was just, come on, people. It's an hour. It's a special occasion. Now, I'm not going to say I'm never on my phone around my kid, because of course I am. But if I sign him up for something like this, that's like a special thing, I'm not going to then sit on my phone for an hour. You know, the only time my phone came out is when I took a few pictures of him building his little house that he built. And then I take pictures of the little house and him with it when he's done. That's the only time my phone comes out. It's like you can't disconnect yourself for an hour for your kid. It's just, oh, it just irritates me. And these are, I mean, I could see maybe if there were bigger kids too, you know, like who can actually do this on their own. But these were little kids, like 3 and 4-year-olds who need help, you know, and they're sitting there on their phone, not helping their kid, you know, and the kid's like, mommy, 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 you know, having to say their name 10 times. People, get off your phone. It won't kill you to stay off your phone for an hour. Okay? All right. In 10 years, you're going to be complaining because your kid's not going to listen to you because they're a teenager, but you're teaching them that it's not important, that the phone's more important. So, anyway. Okay, rant over. And then it has not been a good time again to be a fish in our household. So, I told you guys we lost 2 about 2 months ago. So we were down to 3. Thursday night, we were down to 2. Yesterday morning, we were down to 1. So my husband went and bought 4 more. So we're back to 5. The one that was left from the original grouping is not looking so good. So I don't know how long he's going to last. So little man was upset, but he didn't cry this time. But he said it was his fault because he didn't want them to die. I said, buddy, it's not your fault. Every living thing dies. I said, fish, people, cats, dogs, trees, the grass. Like, everything is going to die eventually. It's not your fault. All right, into the knitting. So, as the title suggests, I feel like I've had less knitting time these past couple weeks. I haven't gotten much accomplished, but maybe I have. I don't know. So, first whip, or first down, is my Bumpy Road 2.0, which is the Bumpy Road shawl by me. I'm using size 4, 3.5 millimeter needles, and the yarn is Deborah Norville Serenity Sock in Purple. This is slow going because counting and actually having to, you know, write things down as you go makes slow progress. But it's coming along. So, here we are. This stitch marker is always in my way. So, not much. From here to here. Maybe 10 rows, maybe. But it's coming along. It'll get done when it gets done. Alright, so next up, as I turn the page on my show notes, is the Little Angel Blanket, which I'm calling the Little Angel Baby Blanket. Again, by me. This is size 8, 5.0 millimeter needles, and the yarn is Red Heart Super Saver in Lemon. And again, where I was, I got, and now you can kind of because there's a cable, angel wing cable on each side. So you can kind of see the cable coming through. So this is just because it's so many stitches. That's why it takes forever. All right, next up are the paved boot toppers, which are the paved pattern by Tin Can Knits. And I'm using size 4, 3.5 millimeter, and 6, 4.0 millimeter needles. And the yarn is Red Heart Super Saver in brown. I remember I've said before that this yarn is, I've never cabled with it, and it hurts my hands. And I usually cable without a cable needle. And I've started using the 4, because I don't have a cable needle, because I don't use them anymore. I started using the smaller, because you use the 4 for the ribbing, and then the 6 for the body. So I've been using the 4 double point for the, as a cable needle, because it hurts my hands otherwise. So this is where I was, and I did 1 repeat of the cable. Can't really see it very well, but so it already finished the first one, so that's number 2. All right, moving on. Whip to first down number 4 is the Doctor Who blanket square number 7. So this is the Seal of Rassilon. Again, I don't watch Doctor Who, so I don't know if that's how you say it. Just cloth pattern by Holly Narf. And I am using size 6, 4.0 millimeter needles, and the yarn is Knit Picks Mighty Stitch in Oyster. So here's where I am. And my husband finally asked me last Sunday when I was knitting on these. He's like, "What are you making?" And I'm like, "It's a Doctor Who blanket for you." He's like, "Cool. When's it gonna be done?" When it's done. Anyway, he doesn't ask for much, so. And those are easy. I quick and easy. It's going to be the putting everything together and doing the border that's going to stink. Okay, number 5. I have the Rose City Rollers, which was my Mother's Day cast on with the Prairie Girls podcast. They say you don't have to be a mother, you just have to have one in order to participate. Here they are. And this is the Rose City Roller pattern by Mara Catherine Briner. It's free pattern on Ravelry. So is the Doctor Who ones are all free, and the paved is a paid for pattern. But I am using size 1, 2.25 millimeter needles, and the yarn is Green Mountain Spinnery Sock, Art Forest in Sarsaparilla. Just kind of brown, which you'd imagine, you know, root beer sarsaparilla. So I'm on the first one. So I did the little, it's kind of hard to hold up on the needles. So I just, here's the little bit of a cuff. I did 10 rows of stockinette, and then here's the heel, and I just picked up the heel stitches and started I'll do the gusset decreases next. Okay, and then my last first down is Preemie Hat number 11 for the year. It's the Earth Baby Infant Hat by Tracy. I'm not even going to try to pronounce her last name. It'll be linked in the show notes. Again, free pattern on Ravelry. And I'm using size 3, 3.25 millimeter needles, and the yarn is Sheep Dreamery Chop Tank in Emerald City. So this is going to be for a bigger baby because it's kind of big. But it's a seed stitch border and then a cable, not a cable, a lace pattern, and I'm about halfway through the first repeat of the lace pattern. And that's all my whips, or first downs. So moving on. Touchdowns, FOs, I have a few. I have made some more Christmas tree ornaments. So this is the Christmas tree pattern by Baba Zima. I use size 7 4.5 millimeter needles, and the yarn is Lion Brand Woolies in Gold. Again, this is very quick and easy pattern. Takes like 15-20 minutes to make one. Love it. And then my second touchdown is the Toddler Market Bag, which is the Toddler Market Bag pattern by Heather Blum. I use sized 8 5.0 millimeter needles, and the yarn is Sugar and Cream and Hot Green. So here it is. This is where I was. I knit all this. Very quick and easy. Another touchdown. And then I have Doctor Who Blanket Square number 5, which was the Angels Have the Blue Box dishcloth pattern by Holly Narf. I use size 6 4.0 millimeter needles, and the yarn is Knit Picks Mighty Stitch in Celestial. So where am I here? Okay. So there's the TARDIS. There's the Angel. That's where I was. I'm not flipping you off, I promise. That's where I was. So I finished all that. And then after that, I cast on for square number 6. And square number 6 is the Doctor Who logo dishcloth, also by Holly Narf. I use size 6 4.0 millimeter needles, Knit Picks Mighty Stitch in Chocolate. And I'm trying. Okay, make sure I'm not showing it to you upside down. Get that. I weave in the ends, but I don't clip them until I block it. So, and then the last ones are 2 little ones. They're Christmas bell ornaments. So it's Christmas Bells by Irish Magada. Size 7, 4.5 millimeter needles, Lion Brand Woolies in Ranch Red. These are even quicker than the trees. These probably take 10 minutes. So, I have 2 more. I don't know how many total. That's 4 more. My goal was 24 for the year. Ornaments. I can't remember where I was. I think I had 12. Because I said I was halfway there and we were less than halfway through the year. So if I had 12, now I have 16. Pretty cool. So turnovers, mistakes. None. Yay! So training camp, future projects. I've been wanting to cast on a shawl, another one that I don't have to concentrate that hard on. So I think I'm going to cast on the Bad Nut pattern, which is by Josh Ricks, who's from the Sort of a Knitter podcast. He's so cute. I just want to pinch his cheeks. I love his podcast. But you can't really see it very well, but it's, yeah, it's a little textured shawl. So, and it's supposed to be good for variegated yarn. So I have this, which I actually won in a contest from Josh's podcast. And this is Desert Vista Dye Works Vure in the Nightfire colorway. So it's orange and gray and black, very Halloween-y. But I think I'm going to make that pattern with this yarn that I won from his podcast. So it's kind of funny. And then my second training camp project I'm going to do for the Knit Girls for Stash Dash. So I made this shawl. I called it my Suck It shawl. But the pattern is called Anonymous Vampire. And it's by Terry Crews. I don't know what the yarn is. I got it at Knitopia a couple years ago on the free table, and the person didn't know what it was. It's not the softest yarn in the world, but it's pretty cool red. So here's the shawl. And it's way too small. I blocked it within an inch of its life, and it's still way too small. I've never worn it. I made it like 3 years ago, and I've never worn it. So I am going to make it bigger. I have lots of yarn left, so I don't know why I didn't just do that in the first place, but whatevs. So I'm going to rip it out and cast on or not cast on, but rip it out and put it back on the needles and add some length to it so I can hopefully wear it. And I'll do that for Stash Dash because all the yardage will count, even though I finished it 3 years ago. That's the rule. So, and I think I'm going to do the 3K for Stash Dash. I haven't quite decided. It starts next Friday, the 27th. So, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to do 3,000. The 3K. Maybe 5. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not going to go crazy pants and go like 15 like some of these people. That's never going to happen. I probably couldn't do that in a year. But anyway, moving on. And I plan on making another one of the market bags. I have some blue and some yellow, sugar and cream. So I don't know which color yet, but I will pick one and I'm going to cast on another one. So moving on into concessions purchases. So I won a contest with the Turbo Knitter podcast. Again, check him out. Love his podcast. He's awesome. And he offered to make a bag for me. And I got to pick out my fabric. He gave us a few. He gave those of us who won, there was like 4 or 5 of us, our choice. This was my choice because I am a nerd. Love it. My son wanted it. I opened it. You know what my son says? Star Wars is for boys, not girls. Excuse me, no. Mama loves Star Wars. I said Star Wars is for girls and boys. And this is my bag and you cannot have it. Sorry, Charlie. My husband thought it was pretty cool too. He didn't ask for it, but because my husband is a Star Wars geek like me. But, yes. Star Wars isn't for girls. What does he know? He's only 7. Okay, and then today we went to the dollar store. And we went to a different dollar store than we normally do. And it actually worked out because he lost this car last year at summer camp. It was his favorite. And we found it at this other dollar store. Another version of it, obviously. But he was so excited. He was so happy. He was thrilled. So it was worth the extra little drive to get there. But they had some different washi tapes. So I bought some. There's those. And these. And they had like 5 or 6 more that I could have bought. But I restrained myself. My little Ziploc baggie that I keep my tapes in for my journaling. Full. I don't even know if these are going to fit in it, so I have to cut it. Alright, moving on into the film room, which is books, TV, etc. Hold on, little man's coming upstairs. Alright, moving on. Film room, books, TV, etc. So I finished since the last time The Cutting Season by Attica Locke. It was alright. It was a little slow. Kind of didn't like the main character, but it was an okay book. It took me quite a while to finish it though. So apparently my knitting and my reading are both lacking. And now I'm reading Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Semple. So it's the story of this woman. She's very eccentric and she disappears 2 days before Christmas, and it's her daughter trying to find out what happened to her. So it's told through emails and, you know, letters, and I like books that are, I know there's a technical term for it, but I can't remember what it is, but I like books that are written that way. So, and then today at our library, they had a book giveaway. So our library every year applies for this grant through RIF, Reading is Fundamental. And they apply, and every kid ages 3 to 18 can pick out a book for free. So the only caveat is they have to go in to the room by themselves and pick out the book. The parents cannot go in. So the parents don't influence the choice. So the kid picks whatever book they want. So Clark picked Bad Apple, A Tale of Friendship by Edward Hemingway. And on the back it says, bullies may call them bad, but together this unlikely pair is all good. Sounds cute. So we're going to read that tonight. We're also going to watch Finding Nemo because Clark has never seen Finding Nemo. And Finding Dory comes out in June. I want to go see it. So I'm going to make him watch Finding Nemo so we can go see Finding Dory. All right. And then on TV, I started watching a new show on TLC called Outdaughtered. So it's the story of the, I can't remember their name, Busby family in Texas who has the only surviving set of all-girl quints. And they had a 4-year-old daughter. So they have 6 girls. So I just watched the first episode. The second episode aired this week, but I haven't watched it yet. I used to watch John and Kate Plus 8 just because I find it fascinating. Like, how do you do this? Like, I guess if you didn't know any better, like, if those were your only children, say you had quints, you don't know what it's like to only have one. So this is all you know, is having 5 babies. But they're, like, I keep putting myself in their shoes. Like, what if I had Clark and then we had 5? Like, and that's where they are. They had 1. They knew how it was like to have 1, and then they have 5. So, it looks like a cute show. They're young. I don't know how old they are, but they seem very, very young. Like, maybe 30 tops. Wow. Man, I'm getting old. Anyway, but, they're very cute. And they seem much more in sync than John and Kate did. And then there's 2 new podcasts, or new to me podcasts, I should say, that I've been listening to and watching. So the first one is called You Must Remember This. And it is about the first 100 years of Hollywood. So it's lost stories and secrets, I think, is the tagline of the first 100 years of Hollywood. So the first episodes I listened to the very first one, which is on Kim Novak, who was the woman that Jimmy Stewart was in love with in Vertigo. And then I listened to the 2 most recent ones, which were on Lena Horne in The Blacklist, which I never knew she was blacklisted by the, House Un-American Activities Committee. But, it was very interesting. So I highly recommend that one. And then I started watching Tiny Paper Foxes with Jenny, who is Tiny Paper Foxes on Ravelry. And I like her podcast. She's one of those who's got that calm, soothing, just voice, and just, find it very calming. So I believe she's on a bit of a hiatus right now because they moved, but hopefully she comes back. And she knits, sews, does all kinds of stuff, so it's good. So check her out. So into the post game wrap up. So you can contact me on Ravelry. I'm Crazy Knitting Fool. On Twitter, it's Crazy Knit Fool. On Instagram, it's Crazy Knitter Studio. The blog is crazyknitterstudio.blogspot.com. And I'm sorry, I just hit the camera with the notebook with the show notes. The email is crazyknitterstudio@gmail.com. And the Ravelry group is Crazy Knitter Studio. So the next episode will be in 2 weeks. It'll be June 4th and June. I can't believe it's almost June. Anyway. So I hope you have a good couple of weeks. You get to do all the crafting you want. Stay out of trouble. And if you can't stay out of trouble, just don't get caught. Talk to you later. Bye.